And welcome back, fellow football fanatics. This is College Football with Sam, and we're bringing on JT to talk about Miami versus Ole Miss and discuss that game. As JT is a proud Miami fan, he runs his own college football channel at JT Sports, which I would encourage you to check out and give a like to and subscribe to his stuff. How are you doing today? And what are your thoughts on this game?
Man, I'm doing great, man. Always happy to come on here and talk college football. I'm excited about this Ole Miss Miami game. I feel like Miami fans deserve a national championship more than any of the teams that are still in this thing. Look, man, there are Miami fans worldwide. You have people in Japan that were up at 2 o'clock in the morning watching Miami beat Texas A&M in the first round. So for Miami to have this big of a fan base despite being down for so many years, it's a testament to the loyalty and the dedication that we have to this program. Going up against a really good Ole Miss team who you probably could say like Miami is an underdog. These are two teams that, let's face it, I don't think before the start of this tournament anybody thought would be one game shy of making it to the national championship. Obviously, the story of this game is going to be Trinidad Chambliss versus Miami's defense. We know that Miami has been like a boa constrictor as far as their defense has performed against Ohio State, Texas A&M, really balling up those offenses. Ole Miss has one of the best big play offenses in America. They were ninth in yards per
Yep.
play. They're averaging nearly 10 yards per pass. Miami has the advantage on the line of scrimmage. They have the advantage on the line of scrimmage, I think, against any team that they would see in the national championship. The difference between Miami on the line of scrimmage versus everybody else is that you have a lot of freakish athletes. You have a bunch of guys that are 6'7", 6'8". Remember those vintage Alabama teams during the peak of the Nick Saban era at Alabama? That's how Miami
Yeah.
is somewhat built. Miami has like these 6'7", 6'8", 330-pound guys that are running like 4'7", 4'8". Imagine having a whole line of scrimmage full of guys that move like Miles Garrett. That's the best way that you can describe Miami on the line of scrimmage. Now, Trinidad Chambliss is such a good player that he's going to get his. Kind of like how you talk about game plan for Jeremiah Smith. He's too good to shut him down. You can just hope to contain him. So he's going to break out of a few sacks. You feel me? Like make some big throws outside the pocket. He's just too good of a player to truly shut down. He's the best quarterback Miami has seen all year. Yeah, Miami's had some success against dual threat quarterbacks this season, but Trinidad Chambliss, he's earned himself a lot of money this offseason. If he declared for the draft, I think he would be good enough to be like a second, first round pick. He's that kind of quarterback talent. Keywan Lacey, arguably the best running back in America, runs like LaShawn McCoy, has a lot of suddenness, a lot of shiftiness in the open field. I just wonder how many stops can you trust Ole Miss defense to get against Miami offensively because they haven't been good stopping the run. Mississippi State ran for 200 yards against them in the Egg Bowl. So you obviously can have success running the football on this Ole Miss front. Their pass rush is formidable. Prince Imani Allen, Satarian Perkins. They got some good pass rushers. Miami on the offensive line, though, I just don't know how much pressure Ole Miss is going to be able to generate.
Yeah, that is really tricky where I think if Ole Miss defensively lets Miami be check down Charlie and take, the 5, 6, 4 yard plays, that it's going to be very hard for Ole Miss to get off the field. And if Miami can live in those 7, 8, 9 minute drives, I think they can have a lot of success and keep their defense healthy. Um, for Miami here, what do you think is the biggest concern on each side of the ball? So for Miami's offense, what do you like about Ole Miss's defense that could give them some fits? And the same thing for Miami's defense against Ole Miss's offense.
They got two very explosive pass rushers, guys that probably will be drafted very highly in the NFL draft if they declare. I do think that from a situational standpoint, third down probably is going to be where You wonder how efficient is Miami going to be. Let's say Ole Miss wins on second down. They get them into third and medium, third and long. That's probably how Ole Miss wants the game plan for getting Miami off the field. Defensively, Miami is going up against probably the best core skill position that they've seen in the playoffs. I get it. Ohio State has great receivers. So I'm talking about just wide receivers, running backs, tight ends. Ole Miss is stacked everywhere. If you look at their stats, they have about 5-6 guys that have a serviceable amount of receptions, yards, touchdowns. So not only do they have a good core group of starting wide receivers, but they have good depth. They can rotate guys in. Charlie Weiss versus Corey Heatherman is a sideline matchup that's not going to be talked about, but we definitely should all be paying attention to it. Corey Heatherman, finalist for the Jim Boyles Award. When you look at Charlie Weiss Jr., one of the best play callers in college football, some NFL teams want to hire him to be their OC. So I definitely do think just the matchup of Charlie Weiss versus Corey Heatherman's defense definitely kind of concerns me a little bit as a Miami fan, because I don't think there's been a better play caller Corey Heatherman has seen than Charlie Weiss in this game. So I do think that defensively, Miami has to worry about, okay, what if Trinidad Chandler starts doing all the kinds of magical plays that he was doing against Georgia? He breaks out of a sack from Messidor and Ruben Bain, and like he chugs a 50-yard missile downfield to Zach Harrison or somebody, Dizon Stripling or somebody like that, Harrison Wallace. You know, there's a lot of playmakers that are very dangerous for Ole Miss when they get the ball in the open field. Open field tackling for Miami, that concerns me. We know Miami can tackle, but when Ole Miss gets in space, they got a bunch of guys that can fly past you, blow past you, put a move on you. So yards after catch is going to be really big in this game for Ole Miss. I get it that Miami has the advantage on the line of scrimmage, as they would against anybody else. But it's not as if Miami's going to be destroying Ole Miss every single time they drop back to pass. Like, Trinidad Chambliss is good enough that he will make plays, he will get his.
Yeah, and I mean, Kawan Lacey is this ultimate tackle buster at running back who just does not go down, gets a lot of yards after first contact, has 23 touchdowns, just has a knack for being in the right place at the right time, making the right play at the right time. There is an argument to be made. I think it's pretty obvious that Ole Miss has the best running back left in the playoffs by a mile. There is an argument to be made, though, that they also have the most impactful quarterback left in the playoff. I wouldn't go that far personally. I think that Mendoza's better than him. I think that Dante Moore can be better than him. But Chambliss is, I mean, when he plays the way he did against Georgia, not just the second time, but you could also say the first time too, he is hard to bring down, he's hard to stop, and he can cause elite defenses to have to throw out everything they know because of his elusiveness and his pocket awareness and his connection with his receivers. How do I put it? I think that another concern that isn't being looked at with Miami is, while their defense has been really, really good, their explosive plays that they allow do come and often come in bunches. And it's not just a Trinidad Chambliss thing. Like, he can cause those on his own. But you add that in with what Miami's defense has allowed, not as much in the run, although sometimes there too, but mostly in the pass, it is concerning when going up against those receivers. How many sacks do you expect Miami to get in this game? And how many do you think they need in order to comfortably win?
I expect them to get at least 5 sacks in this game. I don't know if there's an exact sack total I think they need in order to win. I think the most important thing is being able to get Trinidad Chambliss off the field in third down situations. For one, there's going to be a few sacks that Miami gets from Trinidad Chambliss, you know, extending the play, and then it doesn't work out, and they lose a lot of yardage because of that. And then Miami is going to get pressure a good majority of time. Ole Miss doesn't have scrubs on the offensive line. You know, obviously it's the SEC, no. So they're not going to be bummy on the O line, but Miami can overpower you. And over the course of the game, throughout 4 quarters, you start to see Miami's pass rush wear down these offensive lines because you got guys like Messidor, Ruben Bain, guys that could just overpower you with just how fast their first step is as soon as the ball is snapped, how they can just bull rush you, just like it's WWE when you're watching Miami play. They're trying to body slam you to the ground on nearly every play. So I do think that with how Trinidad Chambliss playing style is, it does kind of play into like Miami's strengths. You got a bunch of athletic pass rushers that Trinidad Chambliss won't have the easiest time being able to outrun because he may run like 4.5. Ruben Bain probably is a 4.6, 4.5 guy. So it's kind of hard to avoid that. The angles that he had against Georgia running the ball, he won't get those same angles, those same running lanes, or they'll close a lot faster than what they did against Georgia against the U. So I definitely think that Miami will be able to still get a good amount of pressure. I think they walk away with 5 sacks, but I still think as long as they can get him off the field and third down, that's going to be really key.
Yeah, and Miami's defense, when you look at third down success allowed, 34.9%. Their average third down distance is 5th, forcing opponents to usually be stuck in a 3rd and 8, if not that, a 3rd and 9. Their average third down distance is 8.2 yards per third down. And their defense is top 10, top 25 in multiple statistical categories. Ole Miss's offense is, though, too, and they have a knack for making it 3rd and medium and for being able to hit some of these explosive plays that we talked about. Do you have any concerns after watching Ole Miss kind of stalwart Georgia on the lines of scrimmage? Do you have any concerns about Miami running the football?
And none at all. I expect Miami to be like a sledgehammer to Ole Miss because Pete Golden's defense hasn't impressed me. Not just this year. Last year it impressed me because they had a lot of athletes. But I haven't really been the biggest fan of his defense. Georgia was having their way. Once they started handing the football off to Nate Frazier, I feel like Nate Frazier had some really powerful runs. Not like 30, 40 yards or anything like that, but he did have a few good amount of 10, 15-yard bone crushers. And I think that Miami's going to have a lot of bone crushing runs with Mark Fletcher. I expect them to have over 100 yards on the ground. Mississippi State ran for 200 against Ole Miss. Tulane ran for over 100 on Ole Miss. Georgia was having success running the football with Gunnar Stockton, Nick Frazier. So I expect Miami to really have an easy time running the football on Ole Miss. I think that for Ole Miss, their best bet to stop Miami offensively is you get Miami into obvious passing situations. You sell out on stopping the run, and you force this to be a game that Carson Beck has to beat you. Not saying that Carson Beck is a bad quarterback. I'm just saying that when Miami's offense has struggled, it's been when you're asking Carson Beck to throw the football 30-plus times to win. That's how they got in trouble against Louisville. Jeff Brom said it after that game. If you put the ball in Carson Beck's hands and force him to beat you, that's the game plan to stop him. Same thing against SMU when Carson Beck had to win that game in overtime. What did he do? He threw that interception. So Miami wants to be able to play complimentary football. And when they get you in the 3rd and short, 3rd and medium, they still have the ability to run the football. So it brings a unpredictability element to their play calling. So if you just make this a one-dimensional football team, hey, if Carson Beck beats you, if you're Pete Golden, you can live with that. You feel me? Show me you can beat me. Show me that Miami's getting everything they paid for. Show me that you're more than just a game manager. So if you lose that way, I don't think you have anything to really hang your hat on. Make Carson Beck beat you. Can he beat you? Yes, he can. Will he do it? We'll see.
Yeah, that's that's I think that's the key to Ole Miss winning here. I think is putting a wrench in Miami's operation offensively, because I think defensively, could they win with Miami's offense having a lot of success? I mean, sure, but I don't think the odds make that the most likely outcome for an Ole Miss win. I think Ole Miss, if they win, they're going to have a turnover edge. They're going to get enough stops on defense, and they'll hit some of those explosives while also having a few sustainable drives. So you're picking Miami here, I assume. Are you fairly confident they're going to cover that 3.5 point spread?
I got Miami 31-23, 31-20. I'm not saying that Ole Miss is some scrub team. I got a lot of respect for Ole Miss. Very talented team. Lane Kiffin gave them a lot of star power. You feel me? I'm rooting for. Hey, if Ole Miss beats Miami and wins the national championship, it'll be an awesome story. You feel me? Lane Kiffin, he screwed you with the way he left, so you get to shoot him the ultimate middle finger by winning the national championship. You feel me? You felt we weren't good enough to win a national championship with you, and we still won it anyway. Yeah, so listen, I think that with Ole Miss, I know they're going to score points on offense. My thing is, I just don't see them being able to get more stops in crucial moments than what Miami can defensively. We know Trinidad Chambliss is going to have some big plays on third down, but Miami's also going to have some big havoc plays on second down. That makes it third and long again. Sometimes when he tries to extend plays, it will hurt Ole Miss, and I don't see them being able to run the football effectively against this Miami front because nobody in the playoffs has had success running the football against Miami. We held Ohio State to under 100 yards rushing with Bo Jackson, not the OG Bo Jackson, but you feel me? Hey, if you told me that was Bo Jackson playing at Ohio State, I could believe you. You feel me? He's a good bat. We shut down Texas A&M, one of the better running teams in college football. So I feel like Ole Miss will make some plays, but in the fourth quarter, that's when Miami will start to get those body blows, and that's when they'll knock out Ole Miss and win.
Yeah. That's kind of what I'm thinking too. I just think Miami is a bit too much for Ole Miss. Not that Ole Miss can't win. I would not be shocked if Ole Miss won. I wouldn't be shocked if any team wins these semifinals. There's maybe one or two teams who I'd be shocked with if they won at all, but the semifinal's a bit different. I wouldn't be shocked if any of these teams advanced to the national title game. Speaking of which, we'll close out with this. Since you're picking Miami to go to the national title, who do you think presents a bigger challenge to Miami if they make it? Indiana or Oregon?
Definitely Indiana. The problem with Oregon is if you stop them from running the football and you force them to throw it, Dante Moore is a very good quarterback, but he does have a turnover issue in the late portion of games that can kind of hurt Oregon. And we saw what Texas Tech's defensive line did against Oregon. Texas Tech's defensive line is just like Miami's, but Miami has a ton of athletes everywhere. Everybody's built like David Bailey on Miami's defensive line. Indiana is the biggest problem because even though they don't have the size that Miami plays with, they do play with a certain violence, a certain physicality. They're fundamentally sound. They don't miss open field tackles. They don't have stupid turnovers. Oregon has procedural problems on offense, with just snapping the football, a bunch of false starts, illegal formations. Indiana is a hard team to beat because they play clean football. And we talk about the talent disadvantage and whatnot that Indiana's supposed to be at in every game that they play in. But one thing about having that talent disadvantage is even if you aren't as talented as Miami, you not beating yourselves makes you as good as anybody regardless of that talent gap. So I think with the coaching and just how good Indiana is on a line of scrimmage with Fernando Mendoza playing outstanding, they pose the biggest threat to Miami because they've been the number one team in college football. Indiana isn't a Cinderella story. They were last year the number one team in college football for a reason. They look like it from week one to now. Like Indiana, you could say from start to finish has been the clear number one team in America.
Yeah. I mean, they're now the unanimous power rated team in all power ratings across the board. It's them at number one. Yeah, I agree with that. Miami early on would be projected to be an underdog to both teams, but they'd be more of an underdog to Indiana. They'd only be like a 2.5-point underdog to Oregon. Well, thank you so much for coming on and talking about the Hurricanes and why your Hurricanes can win. I agree that they should win. Will they is a different story.
Yeah, man, we'll see. I can't wait to watch the game, man. Thanks for having you. Thanks for having me on. Go Canes.
Of course, and we will be live streaming my reaction to that game with live play-by-play and color commentary, so make sure to subscribe to my channel, hit the notification bell, and also like the video, and check out JT Sports channel as well, on YouTube, also on Spotify. He has accounts on Instagram and Twitter and all social media platforms as well. Have a great day, guys, and we will see you all very soon.